Welcome to our tutorial about the Loft command. A loft is basically a more geometrically complicated type of solid. Let's take a home view. I'll begin by creating a rectangular profile. Let's make it 5 by 5. Press Enter, and let's extrude now. Select my square. Right-click and Enter to finish the selection. Let's extrude to a height of 10 units. Enter. And let's create 3 profiles now. First, an ellipse. First point. Second point. And let's make the minor radius 1 unit. Press Enter. Next, I'm going to use a 3-point circle. Here's my first point, second point, and point number 3. Let's create 1 more ellipse. First point, second point, and let's make the radius also 1 unit. Press Enter to register. Okay, let's zoom to extent so we can see all of our geometry. Now I'm going to select my extrusion, right-click and select Isolate, Hide Objects. And now my box is hidden. I'm in 2D wireframe. Let's change to realistic. Let's go ahead and activate the Loft command now. It's on the modeling panel. Let's select the first profile and the second profile. We get a preview. Profile number 3. Here's our preview in white outline. The white dashed outline around the geometry tells us that we're still in preview. Right-click and Enter to finish our selection. The Cross Sections Only option is selected. Let's press Enter to accept, and our loft executes. Let's undo, and let's activate the command again. Select the first, second, and third profiles. This time, let's right-click and scroll to Mode. Let's choose Surface. The preview kind of looks the same, but let's rotate our model a little bit so that you can see instead of a solid, we've got surfaces. Right-click and Enter to finish our selection. Press Enter again to execute the loft. And let's undo. Activate the Loft command again. The order in which you select your profiles affects the shape of your loft. And now you see the profile looks totally different in the preview. Let's right-click and Enter to finish the selection. Enter again to execute the loft. Okay, let's undo. Activate the Loft command again. Now select our profiles. Right-click and Enter to finish the selection. Let's scroll to Settings. Here's a number of options. When I make adjustments in this dialog window, the preview updates immediately in model space. I can choose between Ruled or Smooth Fit. Normal to, with Cross Sections options. Start cross section, end cross section, start and end cross sections, all cross sections. Here we can specify draft angles. Currently it's set to 90 degrees. Let's make it 30 degrees, for example. And the end angle, let's make it 120 degrees. And you see how our preview updates in real time. Let's click OK to accept our adjustments. And let's undo. Now let's take a look to see how the guide option works. I'm going to activate the Spline tool. Let's snap to this quadrant, and this one here. Right-click and Enter to finish the spline. Let's create another spline now. Snap to this quadrant, and this quadrant. Right-click and Enter. Let's create 2 more splines. I'll snap to quadrants of my profiles. And over here, right-click and Enter to close the tool. And 1 more spline, snap it here, snap to this quadrant, and snap to the final profiles quadrant. Right-click and Enter to exit the Spline command. Okay, let's orbit our model to see how the geometry looks. Now we're ready to activate the Loft command again. I'm going to select the first profile, second profile, profile number 3. Right-click and Enter to finish our selection. Now select Guides from this list of options, and we'll select the guides we just created. All 4 of them. Let's orbit our geometry just to see how it looks. To finish our selections and execute the loft, let's right-click and select Enter. Okay, let's undo that loft. Let me select my guidelines now. Now right-click, scroll to Isolate, and let's hide the splines. Now let's activate the Copy command on the Modify panel. Select all 3 profiles. Right-click to finish the selection. Specify a base point. And distance, let's make it 20 units. Press Enter. Right-click and Enter to close the tool. Let's use splines to connect these profiles. Let's snap to the center points of the geometry on the left. Let's take it around to the entities on the right. Snap to the center points again. Last one, right-click and close the spline. Now we've got 6 profiles and a path. We're going to use these to create a loft. Let's activate the Loft command. Select our first profile, second, third, 4, 5, and 6. Right-click and Enter to finish our selections. Now let's use the Path option. Select our spline as the path. And here is our loft. As you can see, the Loft is a pretty flexible tool, and it lets you create fairly complex surfaces and solids. This concludes our overview of the Loft command.